Let's talk about needs. So many of us go through our lives thinking that the right thing to do is to prioritize everyone else above ourselves. Not that this is a bad thing or a wrong thing, but just starting to look at how much am I doing that and when do I ever put my own needs first? You need to establish and know that need within yourself to then be able to even request it. If you in your life right now feel like there's areas where your needs are not being met, or you feel resentful, or like you're an overgiver, you need to listen to this and you need to do some deep diving, because I promise you it's going to support you and help you. Let's talk about needs. So the question I first want to start you with is, where in your life do you not feel like your needs are being met? I just went through almost a 3-hour process on this exact topic, and it all kind of kickstarted a week or so ago. I had messaged Danny Morel. If you guys don't already know, I'm in his mastermind, and therefore this is really funny. I just noticed on this book, it says rebirth. But I'm in his mastermind, and I messaged him just to say, like, okay, I have this awareness that the last 2 dynamics I was in for a relationship, I didn't feel like my needs were met. And I was trying to use my mind to articulate, like, why is this happening? Where is this coming from? What in me is attracting in people who don't meet my needs? And what is that trying to mirror back to me? And so I messaged him about this and kind of was just like voice noting through it. And I just this morning, he video messaged me back. And I just this morning opened the video message. So I knew it was in my messages like 3 days ago, but I didn't have the space to open it. And it's almost like I knew whatever was in that video was going to take me on a process. And so this morning I opened it. My period, you guys, I have felt cramping, like my period was going to come for the last 3 or 4 days, and it didn't come until today. And I'm sharing that because everything is so interconnected. So just before I go into this whole thing, we're going to go into a whole topic. I'm going to take you through the process of exactly what I just did, the questions that I asked myself, and the reflections that I went through to acknowledge where in my life I don't feel my needs are met. Where do I feel life isn't meeting my needs? Where do I feel, all that kind of stuff? I have all the questions written down. So I'm going to take you guys through that. But before I do that, I just want to mention this, because if you didn't already know this, if you're a woman listening to this podcast, your period, why can I talk sometimes? Your period is so sacred. Your menstrual cycle is so sacred. There is a reason we feel different throughout the month. Why you have a burst in energy and you're very outward focused and you can do all the outward tasks, and then how it transitions and it's calling you to a time of solitude. I've been way more intentional at honoring that for myself, because I know my cramps are atrocious when I'm doing too much and I'm not giving myself the space, solitude, and rest that I actually need. So with my cycle, it's really interesting. It seemed late, and I'm usually right on time. Every time I get a cramp, it's like, boom, there's blood and the cycle, begins. But this cycle, for some reason, kept getting delayed to the point where I was like, my friend was like, "You're pregnant." I'm like, no, but the thought went through my mind for a minute. And it's really interesting because I just saw this word rebirth and how I avoided opening the message, and it wasn't time yet, and my period wasn't coming, and I was having cramps for 3 days. I literally feel like my body was opening up and getting ready for the process that I just went through. Because when you actually start paying attention to your period, you may not know this, but every 28 days-ish, your body is calling you to go through a process. So, for example, my process for this month clearly was establishing and honoring the fact that I'm now aware that my needs are not met. So go figure out what those needs are and go through the process of allowing my old self to literally die, is what it felt like I just went through, where I used to put everyone else's needs above my own. And when I'm trying to think back to the time in my life where that shifted or started, I was young. I was really young when I started seeing it as like, oh, others' needs matter more than my own. Therefore, I'll just not have any needs, and I don't want to be a burden, and I don't want to, cause anyone any emotional turmoil. So I'll just deal with all my own needs on my own. I'll deal with all of my own self on my own, and I won't show anyone that I have any needs or that I have any needs that need to be met. Okay, cool. So this period process, the reason I'm sharing this is because if you start to look at your cycle as an intentional 28-day period where you are meant to move through something. So in that 28-day cycle, the reason some periods are so heavy and so hard and so painful is because you may be dishonoring yourself by not actually carving out the space and time you needed to be with yourself and process whatever it was that your body was trying to have you let go of. So if you really think about this, the reason that we shed, that we have new, that we get rid of stuff, we are literally like cleaning out the trash of our bodies. Your body is purging and processing every 28 days, giving you new cells, getting rid of all of the shit that no longer serves you. That is what your body's doing every 28 days. We've been conditioned to think that this is like, oh, I have my period. Like, what a hardship. Oh, this is so annoying. This is so inconvenient. It is for the world we live in. But if you actually start honoring your body around your cycle, you're going to realize that like, oh, this is calling me to something. Oh, the reason why the day or two before I get my period, I want to be silent and quiet and in solitude is because my body is trying to give me the space to become aware of what it is that I need to process, move through, let go of, or birth into creation. But the reason that I share this with you is because majority of you who listen to this are women. If you started actually honoring your body like this and listening to what it was trying to tell you every 28 days, the day before, if you're feeling kind of emotional and heavy or you're getting snappy with people, you're snappy because you're not supposed to be with people. You're being called to solitude. You're meant to be alone. And then in that aloneness is where all of maybe your new ideas or creations come from, or you go through a death portal and you process some shit and you let it go. And then you open the next month new and you have a new cycle that you're going to move through. This is all designed with intention. All with intention. So rather than fighting against your body, obviously sometimes, a trip is booked or something's booked and you have no choice but to, move through that. That's fine. But what I try to do now is every time, let's say I have like a trip or something, or I need to like power through when I have my period and I don't have that space to be alone. First of all, I know it's going to take me at least a week probably to recover and get my energy levels back up. But in addition to that, I will try to carve out my next cycle to have extra alone time. And I find by doing this, my cramps are not as bad. I don't have all these period symptoms that you end up having are usually because you're just not giving your body what it needs. So that is the perfect segue to talk about actually honoring your own needs and desiring your needs to be met and what that looks like and how you can actually get your needs met. I think this is an important topic because so many of us go through our lives thinking that the right thing to do is to prioritize everyone else above ourselves. You willingly will put other people's needs above your own. And not that this is a bad thing or a wrong thing, but just starting to look at how much am I doing that? And when do I ever put my own needs first? Do I even know what my own needs are? Or am I just expecting the people in my life to know how to meet the needs that I don't even know what they are? And I don't even know how to get them met. And I don't even know what my needs are and how to meet them because I don't even know what they are. Do you see how this loop can happen? And so what I see is so many women get so resentful and mad and angry, and almost like we project that resentment and that anger onto other people, expecting them to meet our needs. I use the word demand because I was working with a bioenergetic doctor. This would have been a few months ago. And when she came to the psychology part on my own body, she said, I want you to repeat the words in your head. I demand, not even just demand my needs are met. Demand my needs are met. Demand my needs are met. I'm going to pause for a second. Hopefully you're somewhere you can close your eyes and just keep saying that phrase to yourself. Demand my needs are met. Keep saying it in your head. Sit down, lay down, and just feel what that feels like in your body. I'm going to literally give you 30 seconds here to try to say that in your head multiple times and feel what that feels like in your body. If you can't close your eyes, just say it in your head multiple times and try to connect to what your body's feeling in this moment. If you need more time and you're not feeling it, just pause this and keep going. But I bring that up because when I said it to myself, it felt so uncomfortable. The word demand, for one, like, who wants to be demanding? And then also when I was like, my needs are met, I was like, ooh, like, what needs? I don't have needs. I didn't even consciously know that's what I was thinking. But I think for a really long time, I like prided myself on not needing anything, not needing anyone, not needing anything. And to a certain extent, that's helpful. Like there should be a part of you that, you aren't like, oh, I need you to do this and I need. And it's like, like very extractive energy to try to get people to meet your needs. That's super different than just knowing an internal knowing of what those needs are. And it almost being the difference is it coming from your power of establishing and understanding and knowing yourself so well that you know the types of things that matter or that you need in order to feel loved or seen or heard or valued or whatever within a relationship dynamic. And I'm going to take you through this in a sec. Versus like being needy and you're like, like trying to grasp for your needs to be met. You're not in your power from that place. And I feel like if you're like that, you're trying to extract because you don't feel full and whole within yourself, rather than it almost being like an established boundary where you're just like, no, this is just something I need in relationships. For example, no, I just need like clear, open, honest communication. You get to decide with that other human being if they're giving that to you. The difference though is you don't like need it and then become passive aggressive when they don't give it to you. You need to establish and know that need within yourself to then be able to even request it and communicate it yourself. Does this make sense? And so this is something I noticed for me where when I started going through this process, and I brought this up last week, where I was like, okay, there's something here for me to learn, establish, understand, because the last two dynamics I've been in, I don't feel like my needs were met. So what is that trying to show me? Rather than being a victim of like, oh my God, last two guys, they didn't meet my needs. And like, it's like, no, this is showing up for a reason. I have awareness of it for a reason. What is this trying to show me? And then with sitting in that, okay, he sent me this video and the questions he asked me, which sent me on a deep dive, which made me create all this stuff that I want to take you guys through. So if you can get a journal and a notebook, if you're just listening, no problem. You can reflect on everything I'm sharing and saying. But these questions are going to be things that if you in your life right now feel like there's areas where your needs are not being met, or you feel resentful, or like you're an overgiver, self-abandoner, self-sacrificial woman, mom, friend, whatever, wife, you need to listen to this and you need to do some deep diving because I promise you it's going to support you and help you. Okay. So the first question was, where do you allow life not to meet your needs? Just sit with that. Where do you allow life not to meet your needs? Okay. The next question, where are you always meeting others' needs over your own? These are the questions we're going to move through. All right. So going back to that, when I wrote down, where do you allow life not to meet your own needs? I was looking at past partnerships, knowing that I overgave for safety, connection, feeling valued, always wanting to meet my parents' needs, especially when I was younger, and feeling like I had to, I don't know, like help them through emotional situations or whatever it was. And I took that on myself. No one asked me to do that. I took that on myself. So again, not playing the victim and understanding like these could be choices you made completely unconsciously that are still playing into your life today. For example, I have this one memory I can remember, like sitting on the floor at my coffee table. I could feel my mom was upset about something. And in that moment, it was like I wanted to be the child that could like make it better, to make her happy, to take away her pain. So therefore, I'm not going to show my pain because I don't want to be a burden and I'll just deal with it on my own. She never told me to do that. I internalized it and chose to do that myself. So in addition to that, anyways, what I wrote down and what I realized was my needs are met when I share what my needs are and I actually acknowledge them myself. So I wrote down all these things of like where in my life I don't feel like my needs are being met, right? And I went, oh my gosh, my needs are met when I share what my needs are and I actually acknowledge them myself. How can my needs be met if I'm not acknowledging what those needs are to myself? I can't expect others to meet the needs I haven't clearly established and communicated. I can't expect others to meet the needs I haven't clearly established and communicated. And clearly articulating my own needs allows me to stay in my power. Where in the past, especially with men, when it came to my needs being met, I would freeze or fawn. I didn't know in that moment how to even come back to myself and my center and my power to articulate what my needs were. Therefore, I would freeze or fawn. And then I would be like, well, he's not meeting my needs. But I couldn't even clearly articulate and communicate what those were. Is this making sense? So my pattern was to meet others' needs before my own. And I just wrote, that ends today. So for those of you who are listening, you can decide this too when you acknowledge and establish that this is a pattern of yours. Just decide if you're ready, like that pattern ends today. No more, no more. And then I wrote, the best way to prioritize others is to prioritize me. By honoring myself and my needs and ensuring that they are met, it allows me to give what I can without it being at my own expense. So when you actually honor your own needs and your own self, it gives you the space to then be able to care for others with whatever capacity you have left. So for a lot of us, what we're doing is we're using all of our energy, all of our capacity to take care of everyone else. And then we have nothing left to give ourselves. That needs to flip. And this is something that I've been trying to get way better at because it's like, okay, I know I am a way better person if I just go for a walk in the morning or go work out. And ideally I do both. And then I have a slow enough morning where I can like drink coffee and do my morning gratitudes or practice or whatever. If I can do that in the morning, I am a happier person because I took care of my own needs first. And now with whatever capacity and energy I have left, I can give it to everyone else for the rest of the day. And this is something really interesting. Again, Danny Morrell shared this with one of my friends and he shared it with me. And I was like, dang, that is so good. Where you basically break your day into threes. A third of your day should be going to you. A third of your day goes to your work. And then the other third goes to like your partner, family, whoever is important to you. And what an easy way to break up your day if you think about that. Like, and so many of us don't even put ourselves in our day. There's no time for us. And then we're wondering why we're resentful and angry and gaining weight and miserable and fighting with everyone and, having all of these autoimmune diseases. Like, hello, you, the person that you are, your own body, your own self, isn't even on your priority list, isn't even part of your to-dos. You don't exist. You wonder why you feel invisible to the world and like no one can meet your needs and no one loves you, no one can care for you, no one can do this, blah, blah, blah. You aren't even a part of your own day-to-day. You're living in your own body, but you and prioritizing time with you is not even part of your day-to-day. So how could you expect anyone else to fully see you? You're not even seeing yourself. You're not even seeing yourself. You don't even prioritize yourself. What? Like this, you guys, this took me in a process, okay? So stay with me because these questions are really good if you can stay with me and journal as you do this, okay? Yeah, okay. Since becoming aware, I'm way less available and I can literally go weeks without checking my text. So I'm sorry if you message me, but this is like something that I've been getting way better at over the last few years where I notice now if I need space and time alone, I take it. I don't care who's contacting me, who's texting me, how much is in my emails, how much is in my text. I literally don't care. I will ignore the entire world to take the time I need for myself. And I haven't learned how to go back and catch up. So I apologize. Don't take it personally. I'm just in a season of actually prioritizing myself. I also don't overcommit. So these are tangible things that you can do. Prioritize yourself into your day and stop overcommitting. So if I know doing something and doing too much is going to take too much of my energy without me having space to actually like pour into myself, I'm not doing it. I'm not willing to do it, and I'm not willing to overcommit at my own expense anymore. So I don't overcommit. I choose what I feel instead of abandoning to please the other person. Self-abandoning to please the other person. So I don't know. For example, like I've said no for I'm not really a no gal. Okay. I know when things are like true and I'll be like, no, that doesn't feel right. But when it comes to doing things for others, I rarely say no. You could call me anytime. I could be in the middle of my morning practice and like you're calling me, I'm answering. Self-abandoning, not meeting my own needs, put someone else's needs above my own. I could be in the process of a meditation. You call me 3 times, I'm probably going to answer. I could be on my nature walk. I could have time carved out to record a podcast. You call me, I'm answering. Just self-abandoned again. So all of these different ways where you don't even really realize it, but you continue to put others' needs above your own because you're not honoring that. And I've always felt like boundary is such an icky word. And I'm like, ew, boundaries. But I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. I felt it was icky because I didn't have any. I had no boundaries to prioritize myself, just like openly available and available for everyone and everything all of the time. I'm here to meet all of your needs while not meeting my own. Cool. Awesome. No more. We're done with that. All right. So, okay, let's keep going. All right. So something that I did, and this is what I broke it down to, is where are you always meeting others' needs over your own? And I broke it into a couple categories. So the first one we're going to do is kids. If you have children, where are you constantly meeting their needs over your own? Not that you can't stop meeting their needs, because obviously that's not possible. You have to meet their needs. But what I started thinking about was like, okay, when do I become kind of like angry or frustrated with the kids? Typically when I haven't done the things I needed to do for me. So examples, if I'm in the car with them and they don't want to go to the grocery store, so I go home. Okay, well now I have no food. Now I don't feel good because I didn't do the thing that I said I wanted to do. I don't have groceries to make the food I want. And I put their needs above my own. In situations like that, no, we're going to the GD grocery store. Like I need to go to the grocery store, so we're going. And I obviously do that sometimes, but more often than not, if they don't want to go, I'm like, okay, cool. And I'll push it off. And then I'll do it the next day, or I'll do it later, or I'll find another time. And it's little things like that. In the morning when, like, let's say you're in the middle of making your coffee and all you want is to make your coffee in quiet, but they get all uppity and they want something and they want to do something. And so you abandon that little routine that you have, that little ritual you have to go meet their needs. Again, this isn't always possible to put your needs first, but where can you start noticing little areas where you're like, shit, I self-abandoned in that moment. Shit, I put that person before me. So that you can start looking at it and being like, there's wiggle room, but where do I need to get a little bit more firm? Again, boundaries, the word that I thought was so stupid and I hated. Well, setting a boundary. Okay. The next thing, business. So thinking about your business and where maybe you don't have clearly established, but hopefully you have areas in your business where you do prioritize yourself and you're really good at that. But there could also be areas where you're like, actually, I'm constantly putting everyone else's needs above my own. And then you wonder why you get snappy when that person messages you for the 100th time. But it's like, you've literally put their needs above your own so many times that it's now frustrating and it's causing you resentment. That shouldn't happen. You should be knowing how to put yourself first to not allow it to get there, if that makes sense. So thinking about your business. So kids, business, partner. So your relationship, families, and like your family, and then friendship. So going through each of those areas to establish like, okay, where am I constantly meeting others' needs over my own? Where am I being self-sacrificial and self-abandoning? Something that I used to do, I would take every call, even though I was doing something for myself, no matter what, I would take it to be there for the other person. And that's a beautiful quality. And at some, levels, you do need to do that for people, but not all of the time. So just being aware of like, how much am I doing this? With partner, not speaking up. This was in the past. So I wouldn't speak up because it made them uncomfortable. But in me not speaking up, I was self-abandoning every time I didn't say what I felt. Does this make sense? And so it's like, shoot, are they not meeting my needs, or am I constantly not meeting my own needs? So of course you're going to find people who don't meet your needs because you don't meet your own. annoying, but the way that it really is. Okay. The next thing, for family, yeah. Anyways, okay. The next question. So I'm going to ask you this again. Where in your life do you allow your needs not to be met? Okay. And then I made this declaration to myself, which hopefully it makes sense for you guys too. Choosing to meet others' needs above my own is no longer how I choose to live my life. From this day forward, I choose to meet my own needs and prioritize them before expending energy meeting the needs of others. So just bringing that into awareness of like, I choose not to live my life like this anymore. And I'm not going to give all of my energy to others until I've first poured into myself. So for example, even today, I haven't recorded a podcast in like a month. I knew I wanted to record last weekend even, but I did other things with a bunch of people and I didn't do it. This weekend too, I knew I needed to prioritize this, but today I went through this entire process that literally took 3 hours. And all I have right now is the time to do this. And I was like, but I still want to do this, but I'm going to take care of myself first. So initially I wasn't even going to go through that process until I recorded, but I'm so glad I did because it's exactly now what I'm recording on. And I know there's going to be some of you, whenever I record these like live, fresh out of process videos, you guys go through the process after me and you're like, holy shit. And it's big and deep for you also. So I really hope that this helps you. And I just claimed like, this is not the life I want to live. I do not want to live my life like this anymore, constantly prioritizing other people above myself. So then I went into, what is the life I want to live? So for you, when you think about this, it's like, okay, you can establish your needs are not met. Great. You have the awareness. You look at the areas where maybe your needs are not being met, but then try to think about like, okay, you claim that this isn't the life you want to live anymore. Then what is the life that you want to live? And this is one of those things that Danny had asked me too. So something that I just wrote down was one where my needs are met, where I feel cared for by the partner I choose to have. I want to know when he asks and meets my needs, but also gives and pours into me. Wait, when he also me when he also one where he also meets his own needs while also giving and pouring into me. So I want that mutual beneficial relationship where yes, I meet my own needs and yes, I take care of myself while also pouring into the person I love and they're able to do the same. Because I think in a lot of my partnerships, I've overgiven and overextended at the expense of myself, trying to show more love or make them feel more loved, but they're not even asking for all of that. And so I overgive and overdo, and no one's even asking me to do that. So what am I doing that for? Okay. And then I wrote down a bunch of stuff of like, I feel blank, I feel whatever. So when you look at your life and the way that you want it to look, I chose to just write feeling words. Like I feel seen, I feel cherished, I feel loved, I feel heard, I feel desired, I feel respected. Not just relationships, but in life, right? How do you want to feel in your life? Um, it could be I feel loved because you're loved by your family, your kids, your partner. It could be I feel respected because you're respected by your family, your kids, your business, whatever. You feel seen, you feel honored, you feel appreciated. I just wrote down words like that and said I feel. Okay, I went into a bunch of other stuff. Cool. I also started writing down like, okay, what do I actually need? Like in a day-to-day, like what are my things that are non-negotiables for me to feel like I'm caring for myself? I want to ask you guys that. Whoa. To look at yourself and think like, what do you need in your day-to-day to feel like your needs are being met for you? Not in how relationships are, not in how dynamics are, just you with you. And what I wrote down was like, I know that I need quality time alone. So the journaling, the organizing my thoughts, and being able to share my thoughts by doing something like this, that matters to me and it fills me up and it makes me more me. I know that I need exercise time and time in nature, preferably every single day. So if I know that, it's like, now how do I arrange my life and my days to make sure that those needs are met? I also know that I love to go to coffee shops to get admin tasks done. Okay, cool. How do I carve out my days in my life and create the right dynamics in order to have the space and time to do that? I know I need self-care time. So like oiling my body, lotion, taking care, like doing an oil mask, things like that, doing my skincare, like those basic things I know I need to do to feel the most me. Um, yeah. And that's pretty much it. Like, honestly, I'm not, I'm really not that complex when it comes to the things I need on a daily basis. I just broke down all of these different things of what I want in my life and what's important to me and the needs that I feel I need to have met, or just the relationship dynamic I feel like is really important to me in relationships, business, friendship, kids. Um, yeah. And then I also did, for me to feel loved, I need blank. So just to write down for that. And also when you're communicating with other people, if you have someone in your life or relationship where you're like, shit, I don't feel like my needs are met in my marriage. Okay. First start by establishing what your needs are for you. And if you can meet those yourself, amazing. Then the needs that you can't meet, because obviously there's two people in a relationship and you want to feel loved or heard or appreciated or not invisible. All of these things are very valid. So it's like, how can you communicate that to your partner? How can you have that dynamic established where like it's good, not good, like open communication that isn't putting the other person down? So for example, starting to get to a place where you're like, okay, for me to feel loved, it could be, I need quality time. I need physical touch. I need to feel like you're present. I need to have sex. Like intimacy is really important to me and I feel super connected to you when we're having sex. Okay, cool. So looking at that to be able to share that with your partner without being like, I don't feel loved by you. We never spend time together. You are never present. See how you're putting it all on you instead. And you're like, I really value when we have present quality time together. I really value and feel loved when we, communicate and connect through physical touch. Very different in how that sounds to the person receiving it on the other end than like, you don't do this. You're like, this is what I need. This is really valuable to me. This really matters to me. Very different way of communicating it. Something that I don't think I ever did in the past. It would be like, we don't have sex, or like, I don't even know if that's really something I ever said. Maybe I'd probably be like, I don't ever feel connected to you, or I don't, no. It's like more like, versus, man, I really value quality time. And like, it means a lot to me. Can we prioritize more of that? Totally different. You're not going to put the other person on defense either. Okay. So what needs do you have looking at that? And then I journaled. And then I wrote down, okay, body, release whatever energy inside of me is keeping me from living a life where my needs are fully met. Show me where this comes from and allow me to release the energy. I'm tired of my needs not being fully met. Oh, sorry. And the energy tied to my needs not being fully met. I let go of this energy now and I release it from my body. And I laid down and I just let it move. So eventually my body started shaking. Nothing happens right away because you're still trying to be in control. I laid there and eventually my body started shaking. And then once it started moving, tears came and more tears and more tears. And I started sobbing. But from there, it was just like, let it move, let it move, let it move. Because you can journal and know and articulate, but then your body needs to keep, catch up and allow it to move out for you to actually release where that's coming from. And that comes from releasing it from your body. So with that though, it was interesting because when I was thinking like, where is this coming from? I have so many areas in my life where my needs are so easily and effortlessly met. Like with money, for example, my needs are effortlessly met and I believe that. So there's something, it's not about that. Like my needs are met in so many areas, but when it comes to emotions, for some reason, I had this assumption or feeling that like I needed to carry it all on my own, that I couldn't allow other people to carry that for me. And I don't even know if I gave anyone in the past an adequate chance to help me move through a process or to carry it, and not so much carry it, but like share what I was moving through and have them hold me through that. I just assumed no one could. So I cried on my own. I went through all of my process on my own. I don't even know if I allowed anyone, and like in the past, anytime I had tried, I probably expected my needs not to be met still. So of course I co-created that they couldn't meet my needs because I still had a deep belief that like I have to process everything alone. I don't have any needs. I can do it all on my own. Nah. Okay. Cool. Anyways, okay, went through that. And I just like made some declarations to myself. And so I want to read those to you because for some of you, these might be helpful. So I wrote, I refuse to live a life where my needs are not met in any area from this day forward because that is part of stepping into my power. I refuse to be in a relationship where my needs aren't met. And this is important to me. This is important to me. And I think we need to ask ourselves, do we think our needs can be met here? So I wrote that because if something's really important to you, like you have a need, let's say sex, you would like to have sex every single day, then you need to ask, can this person meet my needs? Is it possible? And yeah, like, do you actually think your needs can be met here with this person in this circumstance, in this situation? Because if you think yes, then you might just need to shift something within you or have a very clear, open, honest conversation with the person to allow those needs to be met. I also realized I don't reach out because I don't need anything. So I messaged Danny back and I was like, oh, buddy, I've never messaged you because I just don't need anything. Weird. My needs aren't met. I was saying I didn't have any needs. Like the effery of this is so severe. And so I just wrote, how could my needs ever be met when I prided myself on not having any? Like, you got to joke with yourself sometimes. Like, if that's you and you've been in that position or process where you're like, yeah, no one's meeting my needs, but then you also act like you have no needs. Well, of course you're co-creating that. I lived almost my entire life up until this point not needing anything or anyone, but at the expense of myself, because I actually do have needs and I do have feelings and I do need people. And of course I know that now, but there's this like old version of me that still lives inside of me that exists that way in relationship, if that makes sense. Because I've done all of this processing and this work and all these things single. So when it comes to these relationship dynamics, it's really interesting where like there's still teenager me that wants to come online or child me that wants to come online where she didn't believe her needs could be met. So of course that comes out sometimes, even though I know that's not true. And to woman me, that's not true. So sometimes it's like taking a step back when you're in a trigger, or you're in a process or someone's upsetting you or something's happening to be like, which version of me is coming online right now? And in holding yourself in that, sometimes you can realize like, oh shit, this is teenager me. Okay, allow her to help process, but woman me would step into her power and articulate what she needs, what matters, what she's not willing to settle for and what she's not willing to accept. That comes from the woman you though, not the teenage you. And in a trigger, it's usually not the modern day you that's coming online. It's an old version of you, and you need to move through that in order to communicate and articulate yourself in a way that meets who you are now. Learn not to have needs because I expect them not to be met. And I just asked, like, is there anything else? So once you've done this process, okay, so you go through, you reflect, you journal, then you carve out the time to, that question I asked, okay, body, release whatever energy inside of me is keeping me from living a life where all of my needs are fully met. Then you give yourself the space to just feel it and let your body show you what's there. Once that felt complete, like I had gone through a couple crying cycles, I had moved some energy, I asked, is there anything else that needs to come through right now? And I just waited, open body, waiting. If any thoughts wanted to come through, if any messages wanted to come through, if anything wanted to move through my body, I allowed it to move. And then basically the last thing I did was I pulled a couple cards and I wanted to read a little piece of this to you because you can't make this stuff up. It is so perfect. And one last thought I had was, if you're overdoing and overgiving and constantly trying to like give so much love and do the most and like be extra in everything you do and go above and beyond, there's a part of you that's trying to be seen and valued by others. And in that, it's like, can you actually just see yourself? Because to be fully honored, loved, valued, you really don't need to do anything. You just exist and people see you for you. There's the overgiving and overdoing isn't even required. So most of us do that for no reason at all. And the last thing I wrote was like, why do I want to die? Like in that pain and in that process, I was like, why do I want to die? And it's like, well, yeah, because the old me's dying. So sometimes you want to die because you are dying. You're dying. The old you is dying. So let it go through the death portal because you got layers to shed. Okay. So, this last part that I just wanted to read to you because it was so wild. So the card I pulled 3. Mystery, a bear, which was all about like going into my den into solitude and then celebrating the successes, which I find so interesting because it's so applicable to my life right now. This first one was mystery. Open yourself up to the unseen. A direction is revealed. I am a mystery to be experienced, not a problem to solve. Destiny or providence, open yourself up to this in-between realm. I just wanted to say that one piece. I'm not going to read you all of this, but every time you're trying in your mind to problem solve, let's say you're in between choices about a business decision, or thinking about the house you're going to buy, or if you should split up with your husband or stay together, if you should have a hard conversation or not, whatever your thing is, right? Try to think in your deepest, hardest in-between moments that I am a mystery to be experienced. Think of life as a mystery to be experienced and not a problem to solve. So back when I was trying to decide, like, do I leave? Should I stay? Like, should I stay in my marriage? Should I not? Like, rather than trying to make it this thing that I needed to have an answer to, trusting that I was in the in-between and I was in the mystery portion without clarity on purpose. That's part of the journey. Okay, this one part, I think it's in this part. Life whispers to you, there is a reality beyond what we see. To discover that other reality, it's time to open yourself up to other dimensions and cultivate a new intimacy with the world. This card questions your life path. Leave your certainties aside. That's our mind. Whenever we're trying to create certainty all the time, it's your mind trying to keep you safe. Most of life, you have no idea what 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years is actually going to look like. Everything in life is uncertain. Everything. When you can settle into that and understand all you can do is be in the present moment of today and trust it, like everything is going to unfold exactly as it's meant to. So get comfortable in the uncomfortable and in the uncertainty, because that's really where the magic and the mystery of life reveals itself. So it says, this card questions your life path. Leave your certainties aside. Change your outlook. Listen to hidden meanings and to the world between realms. Mystery can then present itself and offer you a new understanding of your life pattern and all of its threads between destiny and providence. Lift the veil. Don't try to find ready-made solutions. A realization and a direction will be revealed to you. So essentially saying, like, trust the freaking process, trust the in-between, trust the lack of certainty, trust the not knowing. It is all there for you to co-create whatever process you're meant to move through to get you to that next phase and that next journey. So with that, I hope this was helpful. I hope you actually take yourself through this process and this journey. I hope you ask yourself those questions and write those questions down and move through them to put yourself through a process by journaling. Ask yourself the questions, articulate what your needs are, articulate where all the areas of your life they're not met, articulate how you actually want your life to look. Take the time to process all of this. Then sit with your body open, no distractions, nothing in your way. This whole process started at like 12 to about 2, it was 2:22 when I stopped, and I was like, LOL. So 2.5 hours of being able to articulate, reflect, journal, cry, let my body shake, pull the cards, journal some more, and sit with myself. And how often, most of you are going to be like, well, I don't have 2 hours to myself. Carve it out. Decide that you're not going to go do that thing with the kids. You're not going to go do that thing as a family. If you need to, like, cut it off and just be at home with yourself. Say no to going out one night with your friends. Whatever you have to do, carve out 2 hours for yourself. Do this process. If you can articulate this, and then now moving forward, for me to be able to articulate what my needs are in my power from a grounded place, so different than trying to get my needs met from like the little girl me who isn't articulating anything, just hoping and expecting someone else to see what I need and do it for me. I just don't think that's how it works. Like, part of at least my journey and process is to be able to articulate my needs. And I'll be honest, in my marriage, I didn't even know how much of my needs weren't being met because I was living in a perpetual state of not having my needs met. And I never, ever articulated probably a single need to my husband. Not once. Maybe I tried a couple times to talk about it, but I didn't even know. I didn't even know how many of my needs were not met. So you could be in that process right now where you don't even know. you're going to have to go on a journey of self-discovery to figure that out. And yeah, if you're feeling resentful and you want to blame everyone in your life, it's probably all you. It's probably all you and all of your own self-abandonment. So I hope this was helpful. If this was, and you do this process, please message me. If this was helpful and you want to share it with somebody else, please do. I will try to find these cards and link them in the show notes. But I love you. Thank you for being here. And yeah, we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.